Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to We Talk Weekly's After the Talk with WPPM LP Philadelphia.
Yeah, this is one of the hottest radio shows that talks Charles's favorite segment, love and relationships. Whatever, gives the good news and the bad news, and of course, the latest in entertainment news with the Sizzle.
Dope. So make sure you keep it locked to We Talk Weekly's After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on
106.5 FM.
Woo! What's up, y'all? It's your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
And the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle, y'all.
They are definitely in the building, man. And we got a couple dynamic guests, man, that's coming in today.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about today, man. So we got a jam-packed show, man. Not only do we have a jam-packed show, we got a little good news and bad news. We got the sizzle.
Yeah, a little sizzle.
Listen, we got 2 interviews, ladies and gentlemen. So just tell me this, right? How do you want to do it today? You want to go straight into good news and bad news into the sizzle? Tell me how you want to do it, Sizzle.
Yeah, we on a tight schedule.
We're
gonna go right. We're gonna jump right in. We ain't even gonna get into my day. I had a good day, so I'm gonna wrap that up right there. We're gonna go right into this good news, bad news.
No doubt. So good news and bad news. Holla at me, Spark. Holla at me.
The bad news, y'all. 9 members of the same family were among the 17 killed on the duck boat that capsized in Missouri Lake on Thursday. Only 2 members of the family survived.
Wow.
29 passengers and 2 crew members were on board the amphibious craft when it plunged into 80 feet of water in Table Rock Lake. Officials stated the ages of the victims ranged from 1 to 76 years old. It appeared that there were life jackets on board, but it wasn't clear how many people were wearing them. The captain survived while the driver did not. Now dig this, a survivor of the tragedy who lost 9 of her family members. In the accident, she says the captain of the boat told her family not to worry about life jackets.
Crazy.
I mean, you can't bring them back, but
Unbelievable.
is that crazy? ABC News reached out to Ripley Entertainment, which owns the duck boat company, but they did not immediately respond. An investigation is now underway. But remember, back in 2010, Hungarian exchange students lost their lives here in Philly when the boat capsized.
I remember that.
Because the driver was on his cell phone. So the lawyer for those 2 victims said that he's demanding that all duck boats be shut down.
Yes.
Some critics argue that the part of the problem is numerous agencies regulate the boats with various safety requirements. Bad news.
Wow.
It's horrible.
Yeah, that's
horrible.
She lost her whole family in one day.
Unbelievable.
I took my kids one year, and my ex-husband called me frantic. I was like, what are you talking about? We got life jackets. It's cool. It ain't always cool.
It's
All right.
not. It's
And
not.
Some good news, please.
Prayers
Yes,
up.
good
Prayers
news. This church is saving lives through sports. Enon Tabernacle Church, located in the northwest
Shout out to
Mount
Philly,
Airy,
man. Shout out to Philly.
section of Philadelphia. It grew from approximately 359 members in 1994 to currently over 15,000 members.
Wow, that's big.
That's major. Yes.
Yes.
Reverend Alan
That's
Waller.
like a bank.
Yeah.
We can start a bank.
It's considered a mega church.
Yeah.
Reverend Waller, who started Enon's athletic program in 2005, states, I recognize sports as a wonderful way to teach Christianity and life through the medium of sports. And that's literally what our program is. And whether they go on to be great athletes is not the issue. We want them to be great people. And that's what sports can do. The program grew so big that Enon bought a 34-acre campus in 2012 that included the former football field for Temple University.
Wow.
That's TU, Charles, right?
Shout out to you on my alma mater.
But Pastor Waller also said that we're still saving souls is the focus of Enon. You don't have to belong, Waller says. You don't have to believe what we believe. We just ask that you abide by our rules. Enon gives away a total of $400,000 in college scholarships every year.
Wow.
So this is a church that they don't say, oh, well, what are you doing for the community?
Right. They're showing it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Yes.
that's dope.
Yes.
That's good news. That's our good news and bad news. Shout out to Spark. I like that. That was good. That
that's
was good.
right,
Especially
right.
coming back to Philly and saving the community. I really like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Shout out to Pastor Waller, too, man. No
Yes.
doubt to that. So, man, as you hear, we have a tight schedule, so we jumping right into the sizzle.
Yes.
And the
This
sizzle,
is
sizzle holla at
the
us.
sizzle. Yes, sir.
So, there's been this ongoing beef with rapper 50 Cent and boxer Money Man Mayweather.
Yes.
Money Man.
Jr. Yes. And it spans over years, but this particular one, it just got real, for real. So according to Double XL, Floyd said to 50 in an open letter, basically this tweet, he says, Curtis, quote, confidential informant Jackson, you're mad because your oldest son Marquis' mother doesn't want to be with you. You haven't had a hit song on radio and who knows when, and you're definitely not hot enough to even sell records anymore. So Interscope dropped you. You are jealous of any rapper, athlete, or entertainer that's hot or got something going on for themselves. You are a selfish snitch, and we got paperwork to prove it. And then he says that 50 Cent bit Ja Rule style. He said 50 Cent has herpes and he's broke and living in this apartment in Jersey.
Oh, man.
He kind of went on and on and on.
They doing
in this long letter. So of course, with some. Then 50 Cent basically fired back and he was like, oh, I must have hurt your feelings, champ. And then he said, you had someone write a book basically talking about his tweet, because they're always coming at him about him not being able to spell, calling it literary. Yes. So 50 is like, I'm going to take my time with this, so I'll get it all out. We're going to start with your 11 domestic violence cases.
Wow.
And he said, wait a minute, I'll do them in order. Remember, you asked for this. Get the strap. He ends everything with get the strap. Yes. So it was some tweets in between there, little ones. But this biggest one is when basically 50 Cent accused him of, he says in another tweet, he says, Floyd, you are the champ, but you are a sucker at heart. You want it all. I know. I watched you do some foul-ish to Rilla, and he was your best friend. When he broke up with his girl Jessica, you kept her around, got her an apartment, bought her a car because you wanted to F-word her. Rilla ain't sweated. He was keeping it, player. Then he says, Hayes just wasn't built like that. Tell everybody why you was on FaceTime when he killed Stephanie and himself. Because he was confronting you about messing with his wife. You was pumping all that Trey Songz get the
right.
And then he was like, then you went to watch the ball game. And he's like, get the strap. Yes.
They got too much money to be doing all this.
Yes.
Come
exactly.
on.
And I think for those of you who don't know, Hayes was his friend. And apparently he called him on FaceTime, and then he killed himself. He killed his girlfriend, Stephanie.
He called Mayweather on FaceTime?
Yes. And people were like, why did he call Mayweather on FaceTime? Right. But, when he was killing his girlfriend and then his wife. And then, So he's basically saying he called him to confront him about messing around with his wife. That's heavy.
Wow.
That is heavy. Yes, exactly. So, and then
hold on, is this the Sizzle good news bad?
I know, right?
I know.
It's like,
all right, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
It's the Sizzle
with bad news, though.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's going to be a part 2 to this, because I just kind of want to say, why don't y'all just get into the ring and just kind of like handle it like men?
We talking Floyd. Like 50 don't have a chance.
Exactly. I would love to see that. I would pay money to see that.
I would too.
Yes. And then, I'm gonna just close it out. But I wanted to know, did anybody hear the R. Kelly song?
I didn't hear
song,
it.
I admit.
No, not until y'all.
I was listening to it. The song is actually almost 20 minutes long, and he just gets into admitting all these things, that accusations and basically ranting about what people have said about him. So you gotta listen to it if you have time.
Is it like the in the closet type thing?
Kind of like
that was genius.
Yeah,
and this is, and he's just taking another opportunity to sell off of it. And I don't know what it is about the R. Kelly whatever, but it don't feel like he gets affected like other celebrities do.
No,
he keeps soaring.
No, exactly.
I mean, he'll do a church song and he'll be all right.
Right,
Maybe like playing it at graduations.
Right.
So
yeah, it's just crazy, but
that's wild.
Since we don't have much time today, I can't get into it. But
yes,
yeah. Maybe I'll do a little video, little story about it and post it somewhere. So make sure you follow us on Instagram,
I like
Twitter,
to hear
Facebook. We're on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube. We're all
everywhere.
over the globe. Yes,
everywhere.
Yes. You can't miss us.
No doubt.
And that was the Sizzle.
And that was the Sizzle, ladies and gentlemen. That's your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
Man, listen, man. Like I said, we got a jam-packed show, but I don't want y'all to go anywhere, man. We got some music coming up. What we got coming up?
We got Shoot by Block Boy JB.
No doubt.
Right.
We don't want y'all to go nowhere. We'll be right back, y'all, after this. Holla.
Peace, y'all.
Yo, what's up, y'all? That's your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
Yeah, it's definitely in the house. And ladies and gentlemen, man, one of the segments that I love, the interviews. And the interviews, we're gonna jump right into it. So, Sizzle, who do we have today?
So we have author, writer, just doing everything. Rico Salam from he's a West Philadelphia native who discovered his talent for writing at the age of 19. So his childhood wasn't what you would call the best upbringing. He was raised in a household full of alcoholics and drug addicts. He didn't let that stop him from pursuing his dreams. After teaching himself the art of storytelling, Rico wrote his first novel, Get Mine or Get Naked, in 2008. After Get Mine or Get Naked was published, people began to take notice of Rico's talent for descriptive storytelling, including Golden Globe Award winner actor Ving Rhames. Rico and Ving Rhames, they met and had a meeting in 2011, and immediately Ving Rhames agreed to let Rico write and produce the screenplay called Blood Brother, a movie that Rico was working on with Philly native rapper Gilly the Kid. After filming Blood Brother, Rico went on to start his own film production company called Rico Salam Productions and released his own film titled Heroin, an award-winning film that is sweeping the nation by raising awareness to the growing heroin epidemic. Welcome to the show, Mr. Rico Salam.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, my brother. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good.
Yeah, no
Glad
doubt.
to be here.
No doubt.
I've been trying to get here for the longest.
Hey, look. Hey, I heard you canceled on us. I mean, I heard you canceled on us.
No, it slipped my mind.
Oh, it slipped on my. I got you. I'm gonna let that ride.
I was
You
at the
know what I'm
beach.
saying? So
okay.
I want to say that we love you. We love everything that you're doing, my brother. I had the opportunity to be at where was that? The Philadelphia Independent Film Awards.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all had like almost 50 nominations. You know what I'm saying?
About 8.
Just about just. He said only just 8. You know, but you know what? I think was well deserved, man. I actually watched it. Supported you guys. I watched it. Lauren Sizzle was in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think what you're doing is amazing. You know, especially in terms of the message, right? So let's talk a little bit about let's start from the beginning and what made you, or what got you thinking about this is what I want to produce, create, co-write, and all that type of stuff. You know,
As far as the story right here,
yeah,
in particular,
yes.
Well, like she mentioned, I grew up in a household full of drug addicts and
Okay.
alcoholics and stuff like that. So there's many stories to tell just
Right.
growing up in that environment. But in particular, I just wanted to show, because a lot of people, when they write, like it's so many people talking about drugs, but they glorifying it.
Right.
And I wanted to show the opposite side, the other side of the drug game, and how it's affecting families, because people don't want to talk about that. It's like they sweep that under the rug. It's not, it don't affect them. They act like it don't affect them, but in reality, it affects everybody. I'm saying most people know somebody, if it ain't directly, is
Right.
somebody that
Facts.
is an addict, and a lot of people out here dying, and nobody want to talk about it. So I wanted to put the story out just so people can see something they can relate to,
Right.
and don't be ashamed the fact that they got somebody in their family that's an addict, or because I'm saying I got a lot of people in my family that's close ones to me, and growing up I always was ashamed. A lot of times, to be honest, I didn't even want people to know that was my family member. You see them on the street, I'm like, that's my aunt.
Exactly.
That's my uncle. And then I be my friends, and I just keep walking, until I got older and understood, like, this is reality. This is where we come from, and it's a disease.
Right, right.
It's a disease. It ain't like, they was born like this. Is just, they got hooked. So I wanted to tell the story, but I also wanted to show those that's doing the drug, show them how they affect us.
Right.
Because a lot of times they be caught up in doing them that they don't realize the effects that they have on all of us.
Right. Right,
and
exactly.
So that's why, the story, with Wanda, and her father, they had that close bond, and I wanted to show how the love that, the unbreakable love that someone has for their family member, that no matter what, they're going to stick by their side. No matter what, they're going to make sure they are.
Now, when you're thinking of, how can I put it, in revisiting, your family's, history and background, how did that affect you after you released the movie and then looking back on it? Did you feel kind of like,
kind of like I'm telling their business?
Yeah.
They understand though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like my aunt to this day, she happy that I put it out, and she talked to me and she like, this was me.
Right.
I'm doing better, but I'm proud of you, nephew, for doing this. Up. But she always tell me like, that story was about me. He didn't tell nobody, but it's about me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's when it really touched home. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Because I always wondered, how did that feel? Because most people can do movies kind of fiction, right? Yeah. Or creatively come out there and say, oh, I got this idea. I want to put this movie together. Write it and throw it out there. But then, when you create movies that are like real life stories, right? That's true. That's a different perspective, and you got to weigh, should I do this? Will I hurt somebody?
Right.
And I was just wondering, how did you feel now that it's out there and your aunt see it and everything? I mean, what's the next move from there? Is it another kind of family based or kind of community, citywide situation, or is it more creative? Do you want to explore something different?
Well, what happened is, like, it started off as a family thing,
right?
And just me wanting to show, them how they affect us. But now this has gotten so big now,
right?
Because it's affecting so many people and so many people can relate to it now. And then with the epidemic going on,
right?
It's like now that we got attention from the city council and the
fantastic,
the attorney general.
Yeah.
So now they want us. Me and Ryan, my director right here.
Right.
We gonna start going to schools and stuff, speaking to the kids. So we got like a situation set up. Like, we just getting the movie shortened because it's kind of long. Yeah. So once we get that done, we gonna start going to the schools and showing it to the kids and stuff, and hopefully prevent them from, following this road.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
it's getting it's where it started off, Lauren, we was there, like we had this small idea, and this thing just blew, and everything.
No doubt.
It happened. Yeah, it was just,
And we have director Ryan Sellers here. He had the opportunity to direct the film Heroin. Tell us about your experience directing.
Well, it's funny because now that we look back on it, it was a while ago now. Like, it was years ago. And it's funny because, like, at the time, that was the first time I directed a feature film. Like, I had done shorts and, like, little things here and there, but that was like, wow. So, when we first looked at the script and everything, and it was funny because I remember when he first told me about it, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, give me a script. He's like, all right, I'll give you a couple months and I'll give it to you. I was like, all right, cool. And so I'm not thinking about it. And one day he's like, oh, yeah, here's the script. I'm like, oh, all right, then let's do this. So, I went through the whole thing. I was like, wow, this is really good. How can I really bring this to life on the screen? Because there's one thing to write this down. And, like, when you read a book, you get the idea and you're picturing in your head, okay, this is this. But how can I bring that in a way that does it justice?
Right.
So, and you were in it. Like, we did a lot of different close-ups to really, because I wanted to make people feel like they were a part of this, like they were in this experience.
Right.
So we have some scenes that, like we're graphic because we want to make it as realistic as possible. We don't want to sugarcoat anything because we really want to drive this point home. And I believe that's what people like the most about it is like it's raw. You know, that's the best word I can use for it. It's raw.
Exactly.
We don't hold back. You know, there's language, there's everything else because we want people to feel like when you watching this, wow, is that really how it is?
Right.
You know, because some people watch it and understand it. Other people from other cultures and things like that will look at it and be like, oh, I didn't know they had to deal with it like that.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
and another thing I think that's good about it is that the people that are family members of the ones that are using, they don't actually see what's going on right when they're using.
Exactly.
So there's a part, a scene in the movie that it shows,
And then we wanted to take it a step further. We interviewed actual people who were users. And it's a segment at the beginning where we went to different places, went to the methadone clinic, and we talked to different people. We went to the streets, we went to Kensington, and they told us, we was like, all right, well, we'll give you guys $15. Tell us, tell the camera, tell people why they shouldn't do this. And they told us, but they didn't hold back. So
Yeah.
So check this out, right? So as a director, right, how do you feel when you have a producer, writer, executive producer, they come to you with this idea and they say to you that, you know what, I have this idea and it's something as heavy as this. How do you as a director, because essentially that was his baby, right?
Yeah.
Especially as personal as it is, right?
Yeah.
How did you kind of take that within yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to really nourish this and make sure I do the best that I can possibly do so he can look at it and say, you know what, thank you. You know what I mean?
Well, the first thing I did was I broke the whole script down. I was like, all right. And I, use my director eye, as well, I like to call it, where you just look at and you read the scene and you bring it to life in your head. And I'm like writing shots. So basically I wrote down shot for shot, okay, I could picture this like this. And then I asked him, okay, how would you like to see that? And he came, he said, okay, well, I would like to see this. And so I said, okay, how can I make that cool? How can I add a camera movement in here to make this work? How can I bring emotion out of these actors to make this scene work? That was the first thing. Then the next thing was getting the people together, because this is not a one-man thing. You know what I mean? And I told him from the beginning, I said, listen, we got to hire people to do this because this is not something we could do by ourselves. I don't want to just get a random camera. Like, I want to do this right. I want to get a whole lighting crew. I want to get lighting people. I want to get camera people. I want to get a cinematographer. I want people around. I want to get good actors so that we can really bring this vision to life. And with what we were able to work with, all we ended up getting was a good camera guy, a good lighting guy, and a sound guy. So we had to do the whole thing with only 4 people. So it drastically changed everything because it went from, all right, we got a month shooting schedule to get done. And at first we had, how many was it? It was like 7 people at first. Yeah. We had literally a person for lighting, a person for camera, a person for sound, assistant director, and like every other position, and he was the producer. It went from that to having me directing, him producing, one camera guy who also was doing lights, one sound guy, one guy wrangling all the actors. Which typically on films you've got 10 departments, including set design.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, especially when you talk about independent, it always turns out, and it happens that way, right?
Yeah,
first, because we don't necessarily have a budget, right? And the support. But why do you think it's hard to really garner the support that's needed to really produce, the classics and the talent and the fantastic movies that people produce? Why?
Well, the biggest 2 reasons is one is budget, 2 is time. Right. Because when you have a big budget to work with, you can get people's time. Right. When you don't, you got to work around everybody's schedule. We had Nina, who was a radio host. We had Lauren, who's doing radio. We had different other people who did other things. So it's like, okay, how do we schedule their time? And you ask people, okay, can you give us this time? Can you give us? We can't offer you this, but can you give us this time? So it's a give and take, and at that point, you're working off of the most dedicated people. You got the people who really care. And at the end of the day, even though we had a small crew, everybody really cared. They were all where I was at. Because I told each one of them, I said, listen, I can't pay y'all like I wish I could. Like, y'all, if I could, I'd pay y'all higher than the average rate of these things. But I can't afford it. We can't afford it. But we want to get this film done. And I believe in this project because I believe this is going to change lives. I believe people are going to see this and have a better understanding of what we deal with every day. So that's the main thing.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. So I got a quick question before we get ready to let you guys go for the producer, right? Mm-hmm. Now, fantastic movie. Kudos to that again, because I think it touched so many people, and it's still moving. People still watching, right?
Actually, we just getting started.
Fantastic. Yeah. So which is a great transition to my next point, right? Where do you go from here when you know that you have such a classic movie that you produce that people are watching? How do you go in your head and think about something that will potentially top that?
I already got something.
He said, I'm already there with it. No doubt.
Yeah, we actually, because this comes from a book. I wrote, this was a book, Get Mine and Get Naked.
Right.
We just changed it to Heroin because it's more, direct.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I had already started the sequel to that, which starring Lauren,
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Ready? Sizzle is going to be in the building, so we got to promote that all crazy. We'll be there.
Ready.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's still dealing with the issue of, because we don't, we just don't touch on heroin, but we touch with everything that comes with heroin.
Right.
Like, the HIV. Because a lot of people, they don't talk about that either.
Yeah.
So
the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah. So that's the next thing on the next story. We touch on that a lot.
Right.
I don't want to tell y'all the story
for
those who haven't saw heroin yet, but HIV plays a part too. Mm-hmm. So that's the next thing, and we just want to put the word out there and spread awareness on everything that we want. Like you said, the elephant in the room.
Right.
We want to spread that awareness about it. So. There's always room for that.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Wow, man. So that's heavy. The conversation got a little heavy, man. But I wish you guys continued success. I think what you guys are doing are amazing. I think the stories and the subject matters is profound, and I think that's something that we need to address more because it is the elephant in the room, and people are scared to touch it, especially as it relates to where we live in Philly.
Exactly.
Right. And heroin is heavy in Philly. If you know the statistic of HIV in Philly, it's crazy. Right, and so being able to touch those things and at least start the conversation, that's where we begin the solutions, right? And the healing, so to speak. So before we let you go, I'd like to know how our fans and followers can get in contact with you, follow you on social media, and then maybe I'll go into my special question. Go.
Oh yeah, y'all can follow me on Instagram at Rico Salam Productions, on Facebook Rico Salam. And the movie, we got distribution set up too, with Amazon and iTunes. Okay. So it's gonna be in there about another month or so. Okay. So they go watch Heroin on iTunes and Amazon.
No doubt.
Awesome.
Yeah. For me, I'm on Instagram at RJ_dedication. That's my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook. Follow me, see some of the stuff not only for this movie but for other movies I work on, for other projects that's coming up, and stay tuned.
And Rico, what do you have coming up? You have something else, right?
Yeah, I got some stuff I'm working on. Which one?
Can't really say right now.
Yeah, I'm been doing a lot of writing.
Okay.
I'm trying to do some big things.
Yeah.
So I made a few connects, and I got some stuff. I'm basically just writing right now.
Okay.
And because I ain't. Heroin still took all my money. So. So right now I'm just writing and trying to use other people's money right now.
Got a strategize.
No doubt. Well, thank you for coming to the show, man. Make sure you come back out. Especially give us a call when you're doing your next launch. We'll come out with the cameras and everything. Red carpets, interview, and do what we do.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So thanks for coming to the show. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't want y'all to go anywhere. We'll be right back. We got some little French Montana. We're gonna do a little French, and then we're gonna come back with another fantastic and dynamic interview. This your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle, y'all.
And we'll be right back after this, y'all. Holla. Yeah. What's up, y'all? This your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
Now, like I said, we had a dynamic show today, and it was very tight. And so check this out, right? I love the interviews, and that's why we kept talking about this, man. We got to keep getting the interviews and talking to the dynamic people, talking to the beautiful people, talking to the people who are making change, the change agents, the people who are activists and doing the thing. I mean, you're talking about real activists that ain't scared to make some moves. So who do we have today, Sizzle? Who do we have today?
We have the beautiful Miss Kadida Kenner. She's a Westchester, PA native and TU grad. TU in the building. Yes. She was most recently a writer, producer, and director for college sports television programming in Charlotte, North Carolina. Energized by the 2016 elections, she decided to take a hiatus from TV production and return to campaign work as a field and digital organizer for the NC Democratic Party's coordinated campaign. Following the elections, Ms. Kadida moved back to PA and currently lives in Harrisburg while working as the campaign director for Why Courts Matter, Pennsylvania, a nonpartisan coalition of organizations and advocates working to ensure our federal courts are filled with diverse, independent, well-qualified mainstream jurists who are dedicated to fairness and impartiality and keeping with the core constitutional values of liberty, equality, and justice for all. Welcome to the show, Miss Kadida Kenner.
I love the way that sounds. I love the way that sounds. First of all, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. First, Kadida and I go way back in the college, right? That was the homie back then, and we still connected. I've been seeing a lot of stuff that she's been doing. I said, yo, homie, come to my show. You got to come to my show because what you're doing, I love it. And it stands for what we do here.
Yes.
Right. And so I'm going to jump right into it. Why? I'm going to jump right into it. Right. First of all, and then we talk about the organization that you're affiliated with. I'm going to talk about why I seen you handcuffed and going and put in a paddy wagon. That's what I want to know.
Well, that was an amazing experience, actually. That was last Wednesday.
Right.
I was down in D.C.
Right.
And I went down there with 14 other Pennsylvanians.
Right.
And we were down there to advocate for the federal courts, the lower courts.
Right.
And we went down there because there's a really bad nominee in Pennsylvania. His name is David Porter. We've been fighting him since 2014.
Oh, my goodness.
Senator Pat Toomey has wanted him to be a federal court judge for a very long time. And now he has his opportunity now that it's the Trump administration.
Right.
Horrible.
Yeah, so we went down there, had 14 activists, 9 of us committed to getting arrested that day. And I'm still under the impression that we are the first group ever to get arrested over lower court nominees.
Wow. How about that? Right?
Yeah.
So clearly you could tell it was targeted. You know that that oftentimes when we have a voice and we like to, do or speak for the people who don't have a voice, right? That oftentimes we're targeted and, try to get you out of the way. We try to get you out of the way, or the people try to try to get you out of the way, right? Why is it so important? And we can go into the organization that you're with. Why is it so important that you, are so outspoken when it comes to that voice?
Yeah. As a woman of color, as a black woman,
absolutely,
I know that my rights have been granted by the courts, and I know my rights have been taken away by the courts. And so I know how important they are, and I know how important several activists over the years have advocated for the federal courts. And we named this action that we did last Wednesday after the Representative John Lewis, the American hero, Representative John Lewis, and Good Trouble. And so it's time for us to get into some good trouble in this country right now.
Yeah.
We're suffering under an administration that's out of control and who wants to take us back to decades we were even born during that time. And so in order to fight and combat what's going on in this administration, I had to take it back to the 50s and the 60s. And so I organized this group to go down to D.C. We represented the entire state of Pennsylvania, from Erie to Pittsburgh to Philly, Philadelphia suburbs, Harrisburg. We were young, we were older, we were gay, we were straight, we were Muslim, we were Jewish. We represented Pennsylvania.
That's right.
And we went down there, we caused some good trouble. We got in the way. It's time to get in the way of this administration.
Awesome.
I know. And that's why we created this platform, to be able to give people a platform to speak who oftentimes don't get heard, right? And I believe that, positions that you may sit on right now people probably would be scared to kind of give that opportunity, but we ain't.
Yeah.
All right. And so let's talk about your organization and how was it founded and the reasons and where it is today.
Yeah. So Why Courts Matter Pennsylvania has been around in some form or fashion for more than a half a dozen years.
Okay.
It's been called Why Courts Matter and kind of in the function that it's been in the last 3-4 years. And we advocate for the federal courts as the more progressive wing. You know, we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, but because we believe in fairness and diversity and mainstream nominees, they say we lean left. So if that means me lean left, I guess we lean left. And so what we try to do is just educate the public on the federal courts because not a lot of people know about it. It's not a sexy subject until there's a Supreme Court nominee vacancy or until it's our day in court and then we care about it.
Right.
So I just travel the state of Pennsylvania, and it's a large state, Pennsylvania, and just talk to people about the federal courts and take them back to Civics 101.
Wow.
Educate
Wow.
them.
Yeah, because there's so many people who are activated now due to this administration who have never been activated before and care more than they ever did before. And they just want the information, and so that's what I do.
Awesome.
So the fact that we went down to D.C. and got arrested was something different for Why Courts Matter Pennsylvania. That's typically not what we do.
We don't go just to get arrested, I mean, and have to go back through the court system, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I'd like to know who are some of the members, though, because I would believe or I would think that you have some attorneys that's there to support you guys. And, just like you said, you said gay, straight, Muslim, Christian, all over, right? Who are some of these people that support you guys?
So we're a coalition of tens of thousands. Actually, now it's hundreds of thousands of Pennsylvanians. And so we're talking about Planned Parenthood, the NAACP, the National Council of Jewish Women, Sierra Club, Equality PA. Just any organization you can think of that cares about the issues that we care about, they're with our organization because they know how important the courts are. And we have grassroots folks who have followed along, like the indivisible groups that have popped up. And then we also have our grass tops, and we have attorneys, that we can talk to and speak to about these issues. But mostly this is a grassroots organization. I, by training, am not an attorney. I'm a journalist. I got my degree in journalism. But I know enough about the courts just because I follow them. It's out there. The mainstream media doesn't carry it all that much, but you can find it if you're interested. And I just care about them. I just know that that's where my freedom lies and my liberties lies in the courts.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
You, because you're no stranger. You are no stranger to what we're doing here on this platform at all.
Yeah.
And so you understand the media literacy piece of it. And so I want to jump right into the importance of voting.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, unfortunately, the reason why, unfortunately for some, right? Because all of them I'm glad we got the current administration, right? So unfortunately for some, they believed that, I'm not going to vote, right? Because my vote doesn't matter. They think of the presidency, but oftentimes they don't think of kind of like the secondary, voting piece of what we're supposed to do. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of voting and the current administration nominee for Supreme Court. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Elections have consequences.
Yes.
And so does not voting in elections. And what a lot of people didn't realize is that Supreme Court nominees are voted on by all 100 senators. So it's not just the presidential election you need to worry about. It's also your senators, our U.S. senators, because they are making major decisions. And so when you're going to the polls to vote for the president, also make sure you're voting for the senators.
Right.
If it's not a presidential election, you should be voting in every election that happens.
Right.
And just in transparency, you read off of my resume there that I did work on Hillary's campaign in North Carolina.
Right.
What depressed me the most working in that campaign was trying to recruit young black men to vote.
Sure.
Because they just don't feel as though their vote matters.
Right.
And it does. And, we mainly focus on the federal courts, but you can take this back to Meek Mill.
Yeah. How about that? There you go.
And And that's the state courts, the elected judgeships here. And those are elected judgeships.
Right.
So you can actually vote for the person who could potentially be hearing a case that you're related to.
Exactly.
Courts matter.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times people say, "Oh, I don't want to register to vote because I don't want to get picked for jury duty." That's your duty, and it's you have to almost hit the lotteries. It's in the same vein as getting jury duty. You know,
Do you think it's lack of education? Just what you said, like they don't know.
they don't know. I don't think people understand how important that vote is, and if the vote wasn't this important, so many people wouldn't try so hard to stop you from doing it.
Exactly. So, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, how do we reach a generation who could care less about voting and things like that, but they're the ones that are constantly caught up in the system?
Remind them of the cases that come up. Remind them of the repercussions of not voting. Educate them on how the vote matters. Education is power. And they just need to know, because we think that the educational system in our country is doing a good job when it comes to teaching about civics. I don't think that it's teaching civics anymore.
It's selective teaching.
And
for a reason.
So where do we go from here? You know, with Supreme Court now. You know, where do we go from here?
I want to fill you in on something that's a little disturbing right now.
More bad news.
And this is what I do during my presentations. I say I like to scare the heck out of people, and then I spur them to action, because we need to be a little fearful right now.
Exactly.
We have judicial nominees right now who want to sit on federal benches for a lifetime, who will not say out loud that Brown versus Board of Education was rightly decided. When asked the question, was Brown versus Board of Education rightly decided, they plead the fifth, basically.
And say nothing.
They say they can't answer that question. We all know what Brown versus Board of Education did. Ended segregation in schools, public accommodations. We have judges or potential judges who will not say it was rightly decided out loud, including one here in Pennsylvania, David Porter, the one we've been advocating against. And so we have the Supreme Court fight right now with Brett Kavanaugh, 53 years old. He'll sit on a bench for 30 years, impacting your children, your grandchildren. We'll find out about him. Will he say Brown versus Board of Education was rightly decided? We'll find out.
Wow.
In those years, that just scared me.
And it frustrates me. I'm gonna tell you why it frustrates me. I'm trying, because I don't have a lot of time, but I'm gonna get on my soapbox just for a second. It frustrates me because the majority of those who do not vote looks like me. Right? Now, the flip side of that is we're the ones who are getting locked up. Right? And having a hard time fighting in the system. And unjustly not even having a resource to get out of the system once we're in the system. I come across people who still trying to get their records expunged because they were in the system for something stupid, like even weed, right?
Yeah, that they took probation on, and that 1 year turned into 10.
It's crazy.
Just ridiculous.
And so
30 years.
30 years.
Right.
Your children, it's like, okay, you had
30
children
years.
before you went in. Now your child is impacted by it. And it goes on and on because that same person is in that chair because somebody didn't vote.
Unbelievable. You have to vote. You have to vote, whether you like it or not, especially if you look like me and you brown like me or have melanin like me. You need to go out and vote, my brothers. Not taking away from my sisters at all, you know, because, you know, I believe in, I love, you know, where we are, especially with, you know, our culture and how we're supporting women right now, especially Black Girl Magic, especially like our melanin, our sisters in melanin. These gentlemen, however, man, we have a problem. It has to be fixed. I'm off my soapbox. Just had to say that. I'd like to thank you for coming to the show, sister. Thank you for coming to the show. What would you leave as a takeaway from this interview and your expectations?
It's going to get better. We're going to fight hard right now, and it's going to be a struggle, but it's going to get better. Because that's what happens in this country. We go through some dark times, and it gets better. And there's a lot of folks advocating for this right now, folks who have never done this before, who care. And so just know that you can, you know, reach out to Why Courts Matter. I'll be willing to come out to any organization, any room. If you put 20 people in a room, I have car, we'll travel. And you can reach us at Courts Matter PA on Twitter. and Why Courts Matter PA on Facebook. Very active on both. And just know that it's going to get better because I don't know if it can get worse.
How about that, right?
That's awesome.
Well, I know that our current administration galvanized the folks. So that's a good thing that it did. You got people like, whoa, we should have did A, B, and C. Now they have an opportunity to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, do it. Or however you identify. Come and do it because we need everybody to make sure that we can, be there and speak up for the people, man. We love the people. We talk weekly with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And thanks for coming out to the show. I appreciate you coming out to the show, talking about the good things and the things that we need to do. And you continue to be a change agent, continue to be an activist, and continue to speak for the people who has no voice, because we appreciate you for doing that. Thank you so much. But unfortunately, we got to go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your boy, and we are now on iTunes and iHeartRadio. So make sure you follow us on iTunes and iHeartRadio, and binge listen to our shows. Like and follow us on We Talk Weekly Facebook page. Download the little TuneIn app and look for WPPM or P106.5 FM, and tune in every Tuesday on 7 p.m. and We Talk Weekly's After the Talk. Follow us on Instagram at Twitter at We Talk Weekly, at Charles Gregory, at Lauren_Sizzle, at Sparkle Prices One, and at Madam Touch. Subscribe to our We Talk Weekly YouTube channel. And if you're in Philly, catch us every Monday night at 9:30 on Comcast 66, Verizon Fios 29 and 30, and download the little iThing TV app on Roku and look for who?
We Talk Weekly.
Check this out. Shout out to Afro Philly and MBG Network. We Talk Weekly is now syndicated. You can find us in New York City, Atlanta, Baltimore, Birmingham, Chicago, Delaware, Houston, Jacksonville, Los Angeles, Miami, Newark, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Philly, and all across the nation. And who do you look for?
We Talk Weekly.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know we love you, man. We love that you have been following us, and we want you to continue to do so. But unfortunately, we gotta go. This your boy Charles Gregory with the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle
and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
and we gotta go, and we see you on the other side. Holla.
Hey y'all, thank you for tuning in to We Talk Weekly's After the Talk with WPPM LP Philadelphia.
Yeah, this is one of the hottest radio shows that talks Charles's favorite segment, love and relationships. Whatever. Gives the good news and the bad news, and of course, the latest in entertainment news with the Sizzle.
Dope. So make sure you keep it locked to We Talk Weekly's After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on
106.5 FM.